My final guest tonight became an international star by playing Agent Scully in The X-Files. How do you follow that? Well, let's find out. Welcome, please, Gillian Anderson. You're most welcome. What's that?
You guys stole all my material.
Oh, sorry.
You did. It's everything that I was going to talk about was what you guys talked about.
Well, like what? Middle-aged.
You said you couldn't
I don't know.
understand.
Actually, I couldn't understand a word.
I knew this would happen. She couldn't understand a word. My accent's incomprehensible to anybody outside the Baconhead.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, didn't you?
I did, yes. I could understand you in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Because I do a chitty chitty bang bang voice.
What is it?
Children. We all understand that, don't we?
And also, you are, of course, have this other thing in common, that you're both in the throes of giving up smoking, aren't you?
Yes. How many days are you?
I'm 3-4 months now.
Oh, wow.
But I still, you know, like, want one.
What's that? I don't know.
6 years.
6 years.
It's easy.
That's not what you
It's
told
easy.
me backstage.
Look, I have a sleazy little cigar now and
Say?
again, all right? Not on 40 a day.
How are you finding it, though? I mean, are you still suffering?
Am I still sorry? You know, once in a while I am, yeah. I am. But it hasn't been that long. It's been about 2 weeks. And I gave it up because for the very first time in my life, it started to hurt my throat because I'm about to do a play. All of a sudden...
Well, I know, but I mean, the tension in doing the play as well, it's a new venture like that.
It's like you'd want it. I know, I wish I was. I wish I had. And that's mostly what it is.
Yeah.
It's, you know...
But, I mean, so life after Scully, I mean, that's part of it, the play you're doing here in London.
Yeah.
And you're just back from Africa.
I was just there for a month.
Was that part of it too, so taking time out, going exploring?
I think so. I had been working with some kids from Soweto, some musicians in Soweto, and I promised them...
Musicians?
Yeah, some classical musicians. And, I mean, I don't actually play, but I had participated in bringing them to Los Angeles to play a performance. And they'd also played a couple times in London, and I had, you know, shown up and given my support. And I promised them that I was going to visit them in Soweto before some of them graduated. And so that was my excuse for going initially. And so I ended up planning about a month's trip, and I just went by myself.
And what was it like?
It was, I think, one of the most transformational experiences I've ever had in my life.
In what sense?
In what sense? Because most of my life, even before I became a celebrity, whatever that means, it was very difficult for me to be alone. And I never traveled alone. Eating alone, not crazy about it. Just anything, going to a movie alone, never seen me go to a movie alone. And all of a sudden, I knew that I wanted to go to Africa. I knew that I was going to go. I didn't know who I was going to go with. And then all of a sudden it occurred to me that I needed to do it by myself. And so, you know, of course I talked to friends who are either, you know, from Africa or people that know people in Africa. And I'm on the board of of Artists for a New South Africa, and so I had a lot of connections when I was in South Africa, and so I knew people. But it's still, you know, something that I'd never even come close to doing before.
And now back here and back to work, back to London. Now, the thing that's noticeable about you, of course, is your accent.
Right.
I mean, one imagines, because you are American, that you won't have an American accent.
I know. And I do sometimes. If somebody calls from America, I immediately switch back into it.
But
it's terribly hypocritical.
No, it's not at all. I mean, but it explains it by your childhood, of course, because you spent time here and time in America. Yeah. And reading about you, I mean, it seems to me that extraordinary childhood that you had being twixt the two countries,
right.
You were very much an outsider, weren't you? You're not really accepted here or accepted there in America.
No, it's true. I was actually born in Chicago, and we moved to Puerto Rico for 2 years, and then we moved to London. And we were in Clapham Common, and then we went to Crouch End, and then we were in Haringey. And...
the nice places.
Yeah, and no, but because my parents were American, I was very much considered a Yank, even though... you know, that British accent, English language was my first, you know, language and accent, and I sounded, you know, too like this, but everybody referred to me as a Yank. And
in America.
And then I went to America, and everybody, I was a Brit, and so
And also, you rebelled, didn't you? You became a punk.
Yeah,
you'd have liked our group, the Right Hand Lovers, then.
Which one was that? Is that like the Circle Jerks?
No, we were just a crappy student band.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Circle Jerks, Right Hand Lover.
Yeah, very similar action.
And Madness, of course. You were the
And
Madness.
yeah, I was. Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I was in, I think it was when I went back when I was in high school, you know, there was a period where kids were covering their jean jackets with all the pins and the buttons, and you had the rats and the stranglers and stuff, and Madness was one of them.
Mm. And you had a Mohican haircut? And
a Mohican haircut, yeah, I did actually for a short period of time. I think I did it with myself with a razor blade in the mirror.
You voted the girl most likely to be arrested?
Yes, actually I was, thank you very much.
This is a very
And I was actually
background.
arrested on my graduating night.
I was voted that
I was
as
going to
well.
say, you got that.
I did and all.
And then, but see, out of all, again, you know, the three you've got in common, the three of you, is that, you know, there's no kind of ambition, no burning desire to do what you ended up doing. And all of a sudden, out of all that background of you, sort of, you had a pierced nose and all that sort of stuff, you decide, well, you don't decide, you somehow become an actress.
Well, yeah, I mean, it did kind of happen that way, strangely. I don't remember the pinnacle moment when I said, this is what I'm going to do.
There wasn't sort of
I don't think, all I remember is that I suddenly decided that I was going to look in the paper and try and audition for something, but I don't know why and what drove me to it, no.
And then, almost your first big audition that you got the job in the X-Files.
Yeah, it was literally one of the very, very first ones. I mean, to me, I had been, you know, pounding the pavement for a year in New York and then a year in Los Angeles, which is 2 years, a very short period of time for an actor. But when I was in the middle of it, I thought, oh my God, this is hell, I can't do this, this is terrible. And then all of a sudden I got this job on literally a Thursday and flew up and started filming it on a Saturday 2 days later.
And then abducted by aliens shortly after that.
Yes,
Because-
over and over and over again.
No, but for the first time, because you were pregnant.
Because I was pregnant.
So
well,
then
what's
you
funny is,
abducted by aliens.
no,
Very
I
wonderful.
know. Well, the thing is, at the time, when I got pregnant, it was in the first year of filming. And you know when you're in something and you have no perspective whatsoever, and everybody was reacting quite in a very big way. And I couldn't understand why that, you know, this was a child, and how, you know, and it's not until, you know, years later that I think back and I think, what bloody nerve I had to get pregnant in the first year of a series that was proving to be, you know, relatively successful.
But none of you could have known at that time just how extraordinary.
Oh, we had no idea. We thought, you know, we were going up there for a few months to work on something, you know, or maybe a year, maybe two, and. I mean, 9 years is a bloody long time.
It is a long time, and huge, 60 countries and billions of people watching it.
Yeah.
And we'll bring to you, too, I mean, the kind of fame that you can't have imagined either. You
no.
Can't, I mean,
but the thing is, I mean, the fame aspect of it has never been really something that has been that important to me. And so that aspect of it has also been kind of...
But it would affect your life.
Very much so, yeah. I mean, when I got the job on The X-Files, I had nowhere to live, I didn't have a car. I was on unemployment, and, you know, yeah. And, yeah.
And what about the business, too, of you becoming that sex symbol? I mean, you said that you know, you don't let these things bother you, but that, again, is for a woman, I mean, it's an extraordinary thing to happen, to think that, you know, you have this figure of male fantasy.
Well, I think it was a mixture of things. It was a mixture of, you know, the whole, you know, secretary in glasses and the suit, and, you know, what happens when she takes her hair down, and just the intrigue of that. But, I mean, I never actually really understood it. And then there was a period of time where I went through when it was about probably a year after I had been pregnant and given birth, and I got massive when I got pregnant. I mean, I gained 54 pounds or something, and I'm not that tall. And, you know, so afterwards, and after I'd lost weight and stuff like that, I think I was coming back into my body, and I thought, you know what, I've been on screen, you know, and television adds weight anyway, and I've been this balloon on screen for 2 years practically. I'm going to show this other side of me. It was also about, you know, showing another side and stuff. So I did do a couple of photo shoots that were a bit more provocative than I might choose to do today at the time. But what's funny too that happens is you end up, when you're young, you end up being kind of thrust into and taken on this path that you don't always feel like you have the right perspective in. Like if I chose now, I probably wouldn't have done some of those because it didn't represent how I felt about myself or how I wanted to necessarily be perceived in the world.
And so you finished the series.
Yes.
I think the last series starts in BBC Two in November time here. But I mean, it must have been a huge relief when you finished, when you did the last wrapped it and the last show.
Yeah, it was bittersweet. You know, it was quite sad. But I think that for a lot of us, we had had a long time to kind of, go through a mourning process. Up until then, we knew it was coming. A few of us felt like we should have been done a couple of years previously, and it was bittersweet. But at the same time, I think we were all very enthusiastic about getting on with our lives, whether it was about being with our family more, or going on to new
or
things.
exploring the career now, which of course, I mean, you couldn't do when you were doing locked in that show for 9 years.
No.
So then, of course, you didn't take the easy option at all. You decided to do a two-hander, a play, and make your debut in the West End of London.
I know.
Are you regretting that decision now?
Not yet.
I think you might.
No, I won't. I'm trying to keep those thoughts in my mind. But yeah, and I mean, on the one hand, just really, really wanting a challenge, and really responding in a very, very strong way to this wonderful play by a New York playwright called Michael Weller, and just wanting to do something completely different. And I don't think that based on the intensity of the last almost 10 years of my life, I could have chosen anything that would have felt satisfactory that wasn't as intense. And it's the intensity is different. It's different. It will be, and it's massive. But I'm hoping that at some point I'll feel, that I'm in it, and here we go, and this is all part of it, and I'm having fun. I am.
Well, good. And that's important. And after that, what's the ambition after that?
What am I doing after that? I'm doing a small film, possibly directed by Benjamin Ross, and coming back to England again to do that. And I've been adapting a novel into a screenplay that eventually I'll be directing. And so that's been a really fascinating process for me. And I really love writing. I like that. I love that creative process. And the book is just a really beautiful, sweet story. And so it's been very fulfilling.
What about you? You're going to make a film, aren't you? I mean, his big friend is Johnny Depp. His big mate is Johnny. Johnny Depp said he is the greatest actor in the world. Did he not?
Yeah, he'd taken some really, really bad drugs, I think, that day. That's the only thing I know, but he's a big fan of the Fast Show. He loves it.
And you got him to appear in the Fast Show, didn't you?
Yeah, he did a turn. Yes, and we were able to say suit you at him quite a lot.
That's right. Well, in fact, shall we just have a look at that, because you'll be very impressed by this.
Really?
This is what happens when an American sees an English show without quite understanding what it's all about. So they lured Mr. Depp into the studio, and this is what happened. Now, you see, when you're not in the theatre or relaxing, that's what you let yourself in for. That's what you come back to.
Yeah.
Do you wish to reconsider your decision?
We're doing a live show at the moment, if you'd like to come do a cameo.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. Are you serious?
Yeah, okay, you can actually, yeah.
Does my bum look too big in this? That way, yeah. So that's a genuine offer, is it? I mean, the relationships are shaped on this show, Scylla and...
sure.
Okay.
Gillian and...
Be very careful, Gillian, that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Has a woman ever come on and been with you with that character?
Yeah, we do the odd woman stuff. We've got quite a nice line at the moment. Hello, madam, you're looking very cheerful. Have you got your rabbit with you?
All right.
And I ain't explaining that. That's for sure.
All right, Julian. So you start in November the 7th?
Yes, November 7th is previews.
All right.
And then we open on the 27th.
27th. Well, all the best of it. And,
thank you.
And the rest of your career. Gillian
Thank you
Anderson.
very much. Thank you.
My thanks to Gillian Anderson, Paul Whitehouse, Paul O'Grady and Madness. Next week my guests are Lulu, Bob Monkhouse, Peter Kay and Shania Twain. Before that we leave you with Madness and one of the great pop ballads, It Must Be Love. From all of us here, a very good night. Good night.